If you grew up around old farms, rural homesteads, or Victory Garden veterans, you probably heard stories about fruit that, used to grow everywhere, but somehow vanished. Elders talked about vines that never froze, berries that never needed spraying, and harvests that came in faithfully no matter how hard the winter had been. They weren't exaggerating. For decades before and after World War II, one little-known plant quietly outperformed grapes across cold regions of America and Europe. It was sweeter than most table grapes, nearly immune to disease, and so tough it could survive temperatures that killed vineyards outright. Then, almost overnight, it disappeared from catalogues, extension programs, and commercial fields. That plant was the hardy kiwi, sometimes called Arctic kiwi or Actinidia arguta, along with its close relatives. In some regions, it was also accompanied by cold-hardy currant grape hybrids and frost-resistant muscadine crosses. Together, these fruits formed the backbone of resilient backyard food systems long before industrial agriculture took over. Understanding why they vanished tells us a great deal about how modern farming abandoned resilience for convenience. How wartime agriculture favoured plants that could not fail. During the 1930s and 1940s, farming in much of the world was shaped by scarcity. Fertilizer was limited, fuel was rationed, spraying chemicals were often unavailable. Cold winters destroyed many traditional crops. In that environment, plants that survived on neglect became priceless. Hardy kiwi fit that role perfectly. Introduced from northern China and Siberia in the early 1900s, it spread quietly through agricultural experiment stations and small farms. Unlike commercial grapes, it did not suffer badly from mildew, rot, or insect pressure. It tolerated deep freezes down to -30 degrees Fahrenheit. It fruited reliably once established, and its smooth, grape-sized fruits were packed with sugar and vitamin C. Farmers valued plants like this because they reduced risk. If storms ruined wheat, if frost wiped out orchards, these vines still produced. During wartime rationing, that reliability mattered more than appearance or shelf life. Why this fruit produced more with less effort than vineyards? Traditional grape growing requires constant attention. Vines must be pruned precisely. Fungal diseases must be sprayed. Insects must be controlled. Winter damage must be managed. One bad season can wipe out years of investment. Hardy kiwi worked differently. Once planted in decent soil with a sturdy trellis, it largely took care of itself. Its thick leaves shaded out weeds. Its strong roots accessed deep moisture. Its natural resistance prevented most infections. Pruning was simple and forgiving. A small planting could actually yield hundreds of pounds of fruit every year. Many wartime homesteads would train these vines along fences, barns, and even sheds. And some of them still survive today on abandoned properties, quietly fruiting without any human help at all. For families who were focused on survival and self-reliance, this was honestly just ideal. So, why did post-war agriculture push these plants into obscurity? Well, after World War II, agriculture changed really rapidly. Chemical fertilizers became cheap, and synthetic pesticides just flooded the market. Refrigerated transport expanded a great deal too. And supermarkets, well, they started demanding uniform, visually perfect fruit that could travel thousands of miles without bruising. Hardy kiwi did not fit that model. Its fruit ripened unevenly, and, it bruised easily. It did not store well in long-distance shipping. It ripened quickly once picked, and, it required consumers to learn something new rather than buy familiar grapes. Commercial growers shifted to varieties that tolerated transport and storage even if they required heavy spraying and winter protection. Extension services stopped promoting resilient backyard crops. Seed catalogues followed market demand, and over time knowledge of hardy kiwi and similar plants faded. It wasn't buried by conspiracy. It was buried by economics. So, how can modern gardeners, bring back this forgotten survival fruit? Well, today conditions are changing once again. Water costs are on the rise, chemical regulations are tightening up, and climate instability just keeps increasing. More and more folks are looking for food security rather than just perfect supermarket produce. In that kind of environment, hardy kiwi is, making a quiet return. Actually, getting started is pretty straightforward. You'll want to purchase both male and female vines from a reputable nursery. Usually, one male for every 6 to 8 females does the trick. Choose a nice sunny spot with good drainage, and make sure to install a strong trellis or pergola, since mature vines can get quite heavy. Plant in early spring, water deeply during that first year, and after that, natural rainfall is often enough. Prune lightly in winter, just to keep the growth under control. Harvest comes in late summer or early autumn, when the fruits soften just a bit. Store them in cool conditions for short periods, or if you prefer, process them right away into jams, dried snacks or preserves. Within, say, 3 to 5 years, a well-managed planting can supply a household with fruit for decades. Now, how this plant fits into long-term food security planning is, quite important. For anyone who's serious about resilience, hardy kiwi fills a critical niche. It provides high-calorie, vitamin-rich fruit without any dependence on chemicals. It survives those cold zones where citrus and grapes just can't make it. And, it pairs well with nut trees, perennial vegetables and berry shrubs in diversified systems. A practical approach is to plant vines along existing structures, such as fences or garages. Combine them with currants, elderberries and serviceberries. This creates layered food production that really resists weather extremes. One storm can't wipe out everything at once. Over time, these systems require less work than annual gardens, and, they produce more reliable harvests. Why remembering these plants matters more than nostalgia. This story is not about romanticizing the past. It is about understanding what was lost when agriculture became centralized and industrialized. Hardy kiwi represents a broader category of plants that prioritized durability over appearance, nutrition over branding, and independence over dependency. Our grandparents did not abandon these crops because they failed. They abandoned them because, the system changed around them. Now, that system is showing cracks. Rediscovering these forgotten fruits isn't just a hobby. It's really a practical step toward food security, independence, and, resilience in these uncertain times. If you found this guide useful, share it with someone who still remembers old farms and real self-reliance. And, subscribe to the channel for more deep dives into forgotten survival knowledge and help keep this history alive for the next generation.